Chat Night Africa Live, about to begin.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming. Coming to get down. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Chat Night Africa Live, Afrocentric solutions to Africa's challenges.
We're gonna dance. We're gonna get down.
Showcasing Africa's touristic luxurious.
We're gonna party. Party hardy. We're gonna boogie.
The other story of Africa.
And when we jam, it's out of sight. This song right here.
Chat Night Africa Live, about to begin.
I'm ready. I'm coming. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming. Coming to get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance.
Chat Night
I'm
Africa
coming.
Live, about to begin.
Coming to get down. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. I'm ready. I'm coming. I'm dancing. I'm dancing. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance.
And now, Chat Night Africa Live with Divine Chamoko.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Chat Night Africa. The saying goes that it is crooked wood that shows the best sculptor. It is in big battles that you see great soldiers. And you talk about battles, the international order is fighting one now, and that's the COVID-19. The international order has been grounded. But I tell you what, I am going to be talking to somebody on the show today who, in the very dark clouds, sees a silver lining. Somebody who says, look, Divine, in spite of the grounding order of the world order, the grounding down of the world order, I see opportunities. Dr. Richard Minang believes that with problems come opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, join me now in welcoming this guy with a rare sense of optimism, Dr. Richard Minang at Chat Night Africa once more. Beautiful. Dr. Minang, we're glad to have you on.
Thank you very much, Neil. It's a great pleasure to be back.
The world order has been grounded down by COVID-19. Yet, you look at the nimbus clouds hanging over the heads of people, and you see not impossibilities, you see possibilities. My friend, where are you getting your optimism from?
Yeah, thanks again, Neil. The reality is that if you use an African proverb to contextualize the situation in which the world is facing now, we can be able to get an answer to that. And this African proverb is that a young bird does not crow until it hears the older one does so. What this means is that if the young listen to the old, they will not only grow, but they will make decisions that can be able to make transformational change. And when we look at the lessons of 2020, as you've eloquently described, it was an unprecedented year from the perspective of what we already know, COVID-19 global health emergency that actually brought the world to her knees. And as a result of these, there were lessons, despite the fact we lost lives, and one life loss is far too much. But we also learn lessons, and those lessons learned as we're speaking today, we're crossing to 2021. Those lessons could actually be leveraged to reshape 2021 in a way never ever seen before. And that gives hope. And that makes me optimistic that If we learn from the bad of 2020, we can turn into the good of 2021. Because when you look at Africa, it demonstrated that it can actually turn the good to the bad.
There is a cause that you've been championing across Africa. What do you call it?
It's called innovative volunteerism.
Innovative volunteerism. Well, Dr. Richard Minnaung, there is a video of you which I'm going to bring up as you move out of the stage, and we will watch what Dr. Minnaung means by that. I tell you, it's a very productive thing. And let me say this. If you have relatives in Africa without work, wondering what to do, you want to watch this video, and we will be right back. Watch. This is the guy with a rare, very rare sense of optimism, Dr. Richard Minnaung.
Innovative volunteerism is a mindset change over all of us. You leverage on our God-given talent and little hours to tell.
This is the 2020 end of year message to all innovative volunteerism actors out there. And I start with this African proverb that it is crooked wood that shows the best sculptor. This African proverb aptly describes what you, the innovative volunteerism actors across the entire continent, have done in an otherwise unprecedented year. As we all know, the socio-economic disruptions that has come upon humanity in 2020 because of the compounding effects of the COVID-19 emergency has been equated to that of the Second World War that ended over 75 years ago. This disruption has exceeded the devastation of the 2008 global financial crisis by a whopping 60%. And the fact that we did not go astray is a testament of your willingness and readiness to use what you have and selflessly engage towards a climate resilient and socio-economically competitive Africa. Your actions were not just visible to all, but you showcased that in 2020 you have proven to be the best sculptor, as the proverb espouses. Amidst all these, one critical fact is that climate change did not stop for COVID-19. That's what the science is telling us, that despite the shrinking economy, the job losses, with up to 50% of all jobs lost in the continent, increased inflation, including in the most critical food systems, with price hike of up to 300% experienced in some places, the burden and threat of climate change did not budge even for a second. Africa, like the rest of the globe, still faces the Herculean task of increasing climate action ambition by up to fivefold to prevent runaway climate change risk. It is amidst such difficulty that you, the innovative volunteerism actors, have stood out. Your actions have shown that the fight against climate change cannot be stopped by emergency, but rather it can offer solutions to both. And this has been because of the foundational premise of climate action in Africa, which is that it is largely socio-economic. An innovative volunteerism responds in kind. It is about willingly and voluntarily volunteering yourself, which will prove that you can willingly volunteer yourself and retool your skills to devise climate action solutions and apply these innovative climate action solutions that ensure there is food on every table, that ensures that enhanced health for everyone can be achieved, that ensures that more money can be put in more pockets, as well as unlock multiple enterprise opportunities and drive the bottom line economic growth through actions of the informal sector that comprise over 80% of economic activity in the continent. This has been impressive. As innovative volunteerism actors, you have been at the center of these solutions paradigm shift, and you have done so in style by continuing to refine one of the most important values for success in any venture. Value that underpins innovative volunteerism, and I am talking about your selfless effort, your selflessness. In 2020, I have seen structured selflessness increasingly taking root. I've seen teams of innovative volunteerism actors across countries from all corners of the continent who have gone the extra mile to mutually train and equip each other in deploying innovative environmental and climate action solutions in some of the most critical need areas in the entire continent. We have seen actors mentor each other to get into new areas like sustainable fashion through recycling plastic waste into fashionable apparels. This has been a solution to not only beating plastic pollution, but also reducing the carbon footprint associated with conventional fashion. There has been as a source of alternative income opportunity in an over 30 billion a year industry that is second only to agriculture in terms of offering livelihood solutions in the continent. We have seen innovative volunteerism actors mentor each other to develop much more improved solar dryers to reduce the post-harvest losses that are costing the continent $48 billion a year. We have seen them improve solar dryers that are much more effective in dehydrating agricultural produce to levels that are below the threshold needed to prevent growth of aflatoxin and moss. The use of these solar dryers that you, the innovative volunteerism actors, have fabricated are ensuring a 30-time increase among food traders, who for the first time are having a hygienic, affordable way to increase shelf life of their produce.
My name is Anne, and I'm a farmer around this zone.
Okay.
And I'm very grateful to the Urban Grow Innovative Volunteerism, a group of the youths who brought and to us these dryers. Since the innovative of these dryers, we have been able to save so much of our produce.
Yes.
We used to lose most of our produce because when it comes to the rainy season and we are harvesting, most of our produces get lost and then get spoiled.
Yeah.
But nowadays, we have got these dryers where we keep our produces and so we do not lose so much like there before.
In Togo, Mensa is among these innovative volunteerism actors, and together with his team of 10 youthful actors that have been trained to work with farmers to convert agricultural waste to fuel briquettes that are non-smoky, burn-linger, more flammable, and non-brittle or non-staining.
So I'm Kofi Asentapa from Togo, studying at the African Leadership University. In the past weeks, we have been trained here to make briquettes, which are going to replace a firewood that our women and sisters use to warm water and cook in our different houses.
Hello, I'm Maureen. I use Eva briquettes. As you can see here on my stove, Eva briquettes are so clean. They do not smoke. They do not dirty my saucepans. Easy to use, easy to handle, easy to keep as compared to Chico, the non-brittle. They do not break.
I am Deladem, an innovative volunteerism actor in Ghana under the UNEP Bafosa Innovative Volunteerism Initiative. I'm really excited and thankful for the structured guidance and inspiration I've received through this Bafosa Innovative Volunteerism Initiative towards finding my passion in driving climate action from a solution perspective. Through innovative volunteerism, together with my fellow innovative volunteerism actors in Ghana, we have retooled our skills diversely and aligned them to create an enterprise approach in delivering an urgent climate solution in Ghana. We're also working to ensure that Ghana's forests never again need to be cut down to provide charcoal, and are doing so by providing an alternative sustainable fuel, which is this briquettes we make.
All these are in addition to innovative volunteerism, actors mentoring each other in other areas of innovative environmental and climate action solutions, including waste to clean cooking fuel briquettes. These are not only mitigating against indoor pollution that causes up to 600,000 deaths each year in Africa, but we are paving a way to tap into the 20 billion a year industry that is charcoal. We are seeing actors mentor each other in waste to biofertilizers. We recorded profitability of up to 560%. We are seeing actors mentor each other in plastic waste recovery into paving tires that are up to 40% cheaper with 20 times more load resistant than conventional blocks. This is what you have demonstrated in 2020 despite the difficulties. But even more exciting has been the selflessness demonstrated in leveraging communal cooperative as the structure for delivering these innovative climate action solutions that touch many lives. with up to 90% of Africa's population outside of the formal financial systems. Communal cooperatives have played a role of saving and investing among most of the population, leveraging the framework of Ebafosa innovative volunteerism. Different non-state actors, including you the youth, including women agro-value chain actors, among many others, have been engaged, and they are leveraging on the spirit of these cooperatives to finance innovative environmental climate action solutions.
Also, we can also collect some money, we keep it somewhere, then after some times we can build our own dryers. Yes. So also, let me say, the Chama can help us in many ways. Also, we can also collect that money, we put it together. When it becomes bulky, we can divide among the members, then each member can do something with that money. Yes. Pengine he can uplift the family, or he can buy pengine a motorbike for the husband or for the children, and it can also help them.
Through innovative volunteerism, I have learned how to selflessly come together with other youth to solve climate problems through an enterprise approach. We also look to engage more youth across the country so that these solutions can be spread across the country. We are grateful for the continuous structured guidance we have received and still continue to receive from the UNEP Ebafosa Innovative Volunteerism Initiative.
I'm very much thankful and grateful for Embargo Pamoja Volunteerism group of youth, because they have benefited me and the rest of members in growing their farm products and decreasing the loss of kgs they have been occurring. I'm very much thankful.
But these cooperatives are taking on a very innovative angle, because cooperatives are not just about buildings or money alone, as we have been made sometimes to understand. Rather, these actors are convening themselves around solutions. They are convening themselves around innovative climate action solutions that you yourself are devising. These solutions are critical to enabling value addition to unlock more opportunities and to bring to scale these climate action solutions. What I call cooperating for innovative environmental and climate action solutions. For example, the management of the post-harvest losses, which we have devised solar dryers to be able to reduce, is creating an opportunity for agro-value chain actors to be clustered and work communally in assessing these solar dryers that you have developed. As we are seeing across the continent, these communal solar dryers are helping our mothers in villages to cut their post-harvest losses and increase their savings. And with these savings, they are able to get what they want as they wish. That's your impact. That's your impact.
I'm Augustine Adegula, an innovative volunteerism actor. My experience so far, at least I have learned that we youth, we can be the solution of the challenges we face, yes, regardless of the places we come from. Through the power of innovative volunteerism, I'm able to fabricate solar dryer, and at least my mindset is reshaped and I have retooled my skills.
That's your impact. And congratulations as we bid farewell to 2020. And we trust our Creator for an even greater impactful 2021. The following is what I want you to remember as you continue to build on what we have done in 2020. The first, learn and perfect your skill as you have done, and continue to offer solutions in the area of need of communities. Whether it is turning waste to briquettes, or turning waste to biofertilizer, or turning plastic waste to paving ties, or to apparel and fashion, you have proven that it can be done, and please continue to perfect your skill to be able to ensure that this trajectory continues in 2021. The second, continue to deliver these solutions by working directly with the community, because that's where the challenges are. And always remember what I've always said, markets are people, and you unlock this market with your solution. It is through these that you can be able to earn the trust and ownership of what you do by the people. You can earn their trust rapidly by co-creating the solutions with the communities, so they own it. And the third is that save and invest in a cooperative. This logic is driven through perfecting the perpetual cycle of saving and investing through the lower risk affordable structure of cooperatives. In this case, always remember this: ensure to get a team of willing youth Work with the willing. You hear me using this word willing, underline. Work with the willing in developing these solutions, and these will be solutions in which they can be able to cluster themselves, because those solutions are cooperating, they form cooperatives themselves. The entire team that you have should save whatever earnings you make by trading with a community in a cooperative. That's how you will build transformational change. And fourth, you cannot work alone and succeed. Always remember that the biggest individual action is collective action. Work as a team with the willing and engage the community as co-creators of your solution to enhance ownership. Do not be left behind. Let us tap into these many opportunities as we move into 2021 to drive a truly climate resilient Africa. You have demonstrated it can be done. Let's continue to build on progress to bring impact to scale. Thank you.
Okay, that's my friend, Dr. Richard Munang. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, here is Dr. Richard Munang live on Chat Night Africa. Very good. The reason why I brought this video is so that when we talk about effectively turning problems into opportunities, somebody doesn't sit there thinking it's some theory at a university. Tell me, how did you come about this idea?
Yeah, thanks again, Nidivine. The reality is that when you sit back and look at the monumental challenges that Africa faces today, whether we're talking food insecurity, where we see mothers going to bed hungry, kids being buried before they reach the age of 5, we see this every day. Whether we're talking youth unemployment, all these are visible statistics in front of each and everyone's eyes. But when you look at all these challenges, the next question is, can government alone solve this? And the answer is no. And the next question is, if money was given to everyone, if $1 billion US was given to each and everyone in the entire African continent, I'm talking the 1.2 billion African citizens, will African challenges be solved? The answer is no. And then the last question comes, what then needs to be done? And the answer lies in one word: people. Leveraging people's ability, each and every one of us, because each and every one have a role to play, and tapping into what I call the sovereign capital, that is people's skills and talents, their intellect, their passions, their inspiration, their motivation, to be able to leverage that and turn a challenge into an opportunity, resulted in me coming up with this idea called innovative volunteerism, which is quite very simple. It is a mentorship tool that you leverage it to tap into people's passions and help them turn those passions into profits by simply retooling their skills, because a skilled human being is 15 times the value of natural capital and 4 times the value of produced capital. That means if you have all the material wealth, it can never match up to a skilled human being. And that is the only way we can turn Africa's challenges into opportunities. No amount of money alone can do that. But people.
Very good. The round of applause there is for you, Dr. Richard Munang. Somebody is watching right now who dropped out of university or didn't go to university or even higher school. And I get those letters from such people every single week. They listen to all these great things that you've seen, you've demonstrated in the video, and they ask you, how do we start? Where do we start? What's your answer, sir?
Where we starts with the individual, because the reality is that each and everyone must be able to develop a passion around something, but that passion cannot be only about yourself. It must be about solving a problem in the community. And I'll repeat this again. It must be about solving a problem in the community. And therefore, one must then be able to avail his or herself, because what I always say is that your biggest ability is your availability. So that young person, whether a dropout at secondary school or at primary school or a graduate from university, you must be able to avail yourself. Avail yourself to, first of all, retool your skill. And I've given this example on this show where I said a young person in a village who hasn't even finished primary school must be able to avail his or herself and get trained and come down from the high horse of pride that, no, I cannot do anything. I must be able to just get straight into employment. No, that is not how things work. Little by little grows a banana. What you need to do is to volunteer yourself, voluntarily volunteer yourself so that you can then be able to learn a skill. Whether you are volunteering yourself to learn a skill in a carpentry skill or a skill in welding or a skill in tailoring, to just learn how to be able to sew a dress or to learn how to be able to fabricate a solar dryer. Those are things you can do, and you can be able to register and become an innovative volunteerism actor, and we can be able to guide you through www.innovativevolunteerism.ebafosa.org. But that is not even the bigger point. The bigger point is, are you willing to be able to retool, to voluntarily avail yourself, to be guided? Because that's the biggest challenge in the continent, is that the discussion is that when you get a degree, for example, it is seen as a license to get a job rather than a tool to be able to devise a solution to solve community problems. And then that comfortability of having a degree, which becomes a license to get a job, is what has actually sunk Africa to where it is today.
When you look at the international system brought down by COVID-19, how do you get yourself to be so positive? Because all around you is negativity. You look above your head, you seeing dark clouds. How do you get past to? How do you break through that wall that imprisons your thinking, the walls of negativity? How do you do it?
Negativity is the easier pathway that has been followed for over 60 years, especially in the part of the world which we all come from, called Africa. We blame, we complain all the time. And that has been there. We share bad news rather than good news. We do not actually inspire and motivate one another. But what COVID-19 taught the entire world, especially the African continent, because I was speaking today, let's just put it in perspective. Mothers are going to bed without food. What COVID-19 did was only to worsen that situation. Youth were unemployed before. As we speak today, 50% of all the jobs in the entire African continent have been lost as a result of COVID-19. That's what the statistics are telling us. Food prices spiked by 300%. The climate change that we know manifesting in terms of droughts and floods did not stop because of COVID-19. But where the pain has been highest has been in kitchen tables and has been in people's pockets, especially people in the informal sector. And what did this teach Africa? It taught Africa that you cannot live on borrowed salt. Borrowed salt have limits. Borrowed water that is baked cannot quench the thirst. And it then means that Africa started to look internally. And that's the truth, because necessity is the mother of invention. Externalizing solutions started to prove that no, the citizens of the very continent, the very unemployed youth, can start to devise solutions that can solve the problems that have perpetuated year after year in the continent. If we just take the example of, for example, Senegal, where they actually young people, the medical center developed in Senegal a COVID-19 test that goes for $1. That is almost 10 times cheaper, and a test kit that could actually be utilized at home. Let me take Kenya, for example, that developed not only ventilators, young people in Kenyatta University developing ventilators that could be used in hospital, to Ghana, to Uganda, innovations were actually springing out of nowhere because young people took the center stage to leverage on the abilities and talents to showcase that it can be done. What is that telling us? Africa can do it. Africa can do it. And therefore, externalizing solutions and waiting for external validation actually stopped. And Africa took the center stage. So what is the key point here? The key point is that externalizing solutions, as Africa has been doing for quite a very long time, is a misnomer. But the bottom issue is that despite the fact that these innovations came out from West Africa to East Africa to Southern Africa, they were not top stories, still meaning that Africa doesn't believe in her own.
The reason why I bring you on this platform, and this is the second time, is because you talk solutions. It's easy to complain. Dr. Richard Munang, you don't look like somebody who likes to hang around people who complain. Why is that? Don't people have a right to complain about their situations, their conditions that are uncomfortable?
Complaining is easy. And if I use an African proverb, and I like using African proverb because we have those in abundance, and we don't even use it. And as Chinua Achebe would say, that proverbs are the palm oil with which food is eaten. Proverbs in this case, which I use in chapter 2 of my book, that the will of the elders always leave the right doors open. What does that mean? You can only work with what you have. Complaining is not a strategy. It's the easiest way that can, because first of all, you do not really need any thinking or energy or dedication in complaining. It's very easy to complain. And that has been a pathway that has been experimented for over 60 years, and the results are the same. And those results never ever even left the laboratory in the first place. They were abandoned in the laboratory because the results did not result to anything. Isn't that paradoxical? And therefore, it means that we cannot just complain. We cannot just complain. We must be able, if we express frustration, we need to do what I call righteous anger. Even the Bible says it. Righteous anger, that you are not happy with a situation and then you devise an alternative to turn that unfortunate situation into an opportunity. That's not the attitude that is currently there in the continent. And I actually believe, and I have seen it, young people being challenged, that you cannot just sit and say, government is not giving us jobs. We are not having jobs. What are you doing about it? Because you cannot, your current situation is only the way it is because you have allowed it to be. Are you availing yourself for trainings, or you are saying that if they don't go pay me money, I'm not going to go for day? Are you using the internet to browse ideas on how you can be able to turn apparels, to you leverage waste and turn to briquettes and turn to opportunities in biofertilizers, or you are using it to abuse people and complaining that government is not creating jobs? So the point is very simple, that complaining has not worked for over 60 years, and anything that has been in the laboratory has never actually seen the light of day, then it's not good.
Think and talk solutions. Solutions at what level? The macro level or the micro level? Why isn't government part of the solution? Did I get it right?
If you look across the entire African continent, the role of government generally anywhere in the world is to create an enabling environment. And I think it's really something that is quite very important to discuss, because Africa, and I've said it again, and I said this and I'll say it again, Africa do not lack the right enabling environment for action. What Africa actually, and I contextualize it within what I call 5 I's. Africa doesn't lack ideas. Africa doesn't lack innovations. What Africa lacks is the 3 I's, which are incentives. Africa lacks incentives, and incentives here are not about money. We do not have a culture of inspiring people who are not ours to leverage what they're doing, if they're doing it positively, to build on that and make that solution that they've come up with become everybody's solution. We'll say Iwan show say Ide. That attitude is wrong. It's not an incentive that we should be able to use. The other I is the institutions that are there, despite the fact that we have policies in place, sometimes are not actually doing what they're supposed to do. I'll come to that later. And the last one is an inclusive space framework in which everybody can leverage to work together, because as I said, the biggest individual action is collective action. So when you look at it, you notice that with incentives, you can actually be able to break through the institution, because institutions are people, they are not buildings. And why are the institutions not working? Because we have some attitudes that we grew up with: selfishness, hatred, disdain for one another, that we then carry to the offices in which we are in and obstruct others not to be able to leverage on opportunities to do what is needed. And when you focus on incentives to inspire someone to say that what you've done is excellent, what can I do to support you? To tell somebody and motivate the person and support that person, not because you are going to benefit in it, but because you know that it's going to be for the collective good of society. That spirit is not there. And therefore, Africa needs, every African anywhere in the world needs one word: selflessness. It is the spirit that our founding fathers used to fight for self-determined rule. It is the same spirit we need today to ensure that Africa can actually have what I call socio-economic liberation. And that's the only way that our mothers in villages can be able to feel the impact of each and everyone's action.
And it seems to me it's until you have economic liberation that you truly liberated. Africa has been said to have had in the early 60s, late 50s, what they call flag independence. If you are not truly economically independent, then I'm sorry, somebody's controlling what you think and therefore what you do. Cooperatives, you lay a lot of emphasis on collectivism. Would you please explain that and the importance of it?
When you look at societies across the entire world that have succeeded, they've succeeded by leveraging on the spirit of collectivism. Now, this spirit of collectivism is not anything that is difficult. It's something that we grew up seeing. In our villages, across every community in the African continent, so to speak, people come together to solve problems. Whether it is a road that is bad, the community will come together and actually fill potholes with stones. They will dig roads where there are no roads. They will help one another. They will come together and till a farm of a mother in another village. They will harvest together. That is the spirit of collectivism that solved problem then, and that is the same spirit that we need today to solve the monumental challenges that we face. And the question is, why are we becoming so individualistic? And the answer is quite very simple. We have embraced material more than embracing what matters: people, talent, skills, and nurturing what matters to society, solutions. And I said it before, and I will say it again today. We have a culture. Sometimes a lot of people don't want to say it as it is, but it's good to also call a spade in this case, because it's something that have destroyed the continent for over 60 years. And anybody who stands by not saying this is not helping the continent. And I say this why. We cannot talk symptoms without talking causes. If you are treating symptoms, then you definitely will never ever treat the disease. And Africa's disease is what have been perfected over year and over year: individualism and adoration for material rather than adoration for solutions. That if you have a big car, then you are glorified. There's nothing wrong to have a big car, and I've said this so many times, that if you then trample on people's shoulders when you are in a higher position, then you are respected. That arrogance is equated to being powerful. No, that is absolutely wrong. And therefore, what we need to do is to leverage on the very principles of kindness, of selflessness, of collectivism, of diligence, of respect for one another, and come together and do things that can be useful to the society. And then the cooperatives comes in. When you look at the entire financial architecture of the continent, you look at the changing climate we're talking today. These are not abstraction, droughts and floods. Africa needs every year 50 billion. Where will that money come from? Nowhere. When we talk of mothers going to bed hungry, where will money come from to be able to solve the challenges in our global value chain? Nowhere. But what is never leveraged is what Africa is good at. We grew up seeing this, our mothers will contribute little money and buy our books. They'll contribute little money to buy a bench in church. What happened to that spirit? Your guess is as good as mine. So when you look around around all these, the best way to move forward is people coming together and contributing ideas, not only money. People contributing ideas to solve a problem. When mothers come together to till their own farm, to harvest, that is the cooperating spirit around a solution. When mothers come together to rally around a solar dryer developed by youth, that is a cooperating spirit. And that is driving the working together spirit that has actually been killed over time and bringing people back together, but not back together because they like one another, but because it is a strategic way to collaborate and devise solutions to the many challenges we face. And if that spirit of cooperating around solutions, and I don't just call it cooperating, I call it cooperating around solutions, if it is adopted, which we are seeing in the continent, the youth picking that up, Africa's challenges will actually be turned into a groundswell of opportunities that will not only move Africa forward, but Africa will become the envy of the world. This is not rocket science. It's starting to work. And I can tell you this is the direction and the best strategy for Africa's transformation for collective growth.
I just got a text, and before I read that text, you can dial 240-603-7367. You can dial 240-603-7367. Once you do that, you will be speaking to Africa through Chat Night Africa, and you can ask Dr. Richard Munang a question or even disagree with him. That's fine with us. And the text I have here is talking about lots of the public policies in Africa, around African countries. Taxation. Dr. Munang, you denying the fact that that is inhibitive.
No, that's not the point I am making. You see, the reality is that not every policy is good, but not every policy is bad. And we cannot pinpoint one bad policy to be representative of all the good policies that do exist in the continent. I can give you a practical example in an arena in which I work in every day. If you look at the energy policy, Africa, and I used this last time, Africa actually every day, every year have 365 days of sunshine. In most of the countries, about 90% of them have actually not only ratified agreements in their national parliaments in what they call feed-in tariffs, which are actually energy policies that have tax incentives for people who actually devise clean energy solutions. And a very common, simple one is a solar dryer that is being made at community level by young people. You will not pay importation if you are importing the material. But what I notice, they do not read it. They will complain without reading it. And that's one thing that I think those who are listening, our audience should really listen to this, because readers are leaders. If you cannot read, you cannot lead. And you cannot, if you cannot read, you cannot lead. And if you can lead, you must read. You can't lead without reading. Readers are leaders. So the second aspect is that it is the policy is driven also by action on the ground. But what I have actually noticed across the entire African continent is that the way policy is made, it's not just big ideas that will actually drive policy making. It's also the practical way of demonstrating it on the ground that can help influence policy. This we've demonstrated in countries, for example, in Seychelles, just simple rainwater harvesting using water tanks. Help a country, Seychelles, to legislate a bill that actually required every building in Seychelles to integrate rainwater harvesting into the building codes. An action, simple action that inform policy. What's my point here? My point is, we can not only talk about taxation We need to carry out actions on the ground and make the case why those tax policies need to be revised. It cannot always be top-down discussion. It needs to also be bottom-up. And without evidence, we may not be able to address all these challenges.
You are a trailblazer in innovative volunteerism, and it got my attention. The very first time I watched your video, it struck me like lightning. I see you working with youths in different African countries. What have been the results?
Firstly, the result that I would say has actually been the biggest is the ability of young people to come together and recognize that they are the ones they need. They are the ones they need. That they do not need external validation in what they do to believe that it is the right thing to do. That their validation should be the communities that face the challenge, not a validation from elsewhere that is not feeling the pinch of the challenge, but the communities that face the challenge. That if a mother can be able to dry her vegetables using a solar dryer and it dry to the requisite moisture content that is needed, and that mother appreciates it, that it can be able to stay for 6 months without getting spoiled or rotten, that is where the validation is supposed to come from. That if they can be able to use agricultural waste and turn it into briquettes, and a mother uses it with that indoor pollution that chokes her lungs, that is where validation should come from. And as they make money through the process, then that is an enterprising solution that needs to become the norm and not the exception. That has been one of the biggest, not just opportunity, but the biggest solution and a result that Africans can self-believe, but they need to be guided. Not any kind of guidance, but guidance in a structured way, because I hear this question most of the time. Everybody wants to do everything. Then you ask them, why don't you want to be part of the process? They want to be part of the product. But one of the results have been that when young people are structurally guided, what I mean by structural guidance is very simple, that you guide them to tap into their passion and learn a skill in which they are passionate about, but not just to make money, but to solve a problem in the community. And that, as a result of that, they start making money. We have showcased that. And as you showed in the video, you could see young people developing solar dryers, solving community problems. They're putting money in their pockets just as the mothers are also putting money in their pockets. So the bigger lesson is that youth can come together and work together, and at the same time will not have to wait for external validation to show them that what you are doing is right or is wrong, that the community are actually the custodians, because they're also the beneficiary and the end consumers of what needs to be done. And unless we start that mindset change by demonstrating, using solutions, and also inspiring the youth by motivating them that they're able to do what is needed, we might never ever have a transformational Africa, because emotional poverty has actually eaten deep into the continent. And emotional poverty here, I mean lack of self-belief.
That is another story. I received a letter, it's been persistent, coming from one person in Rwanda, Mr. Divine. He writes, "I'm hungry, send me money." I sent him your videos. I don't know if you even bother to watch them. Then 2 days after, Mr. Divine sent me money. If you were Divine and you get those requests, and perhaps you've been receiving them where you work, what would be your response to the sender of the text message asking you to send him money to go buy food and eat? He's hungry.
Absolutely. The first thing I will say, and I say this all the time, you are not what happens to you. You are what you choose.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by this is, before I come to to answer your question, is that we use our backgrounds where we come from to complain about things that we could be able to find the solutions to them. I'm from a poor family, so I'm poor by default. Because Divine is in DC or in Maryland, he should give me money, or Munang is in Canada, he should give me money. Those are attitudes that comes from the environment in which we were brought up. And I usually say most of the time that the environment in which many of us were brought up in Africa disempowers us and actually injects that dependency syndrome that somebody must do it for me. So the answer to that guy is very simple. And if he's watching, sir, listen, what have you done to be able to find an alternative so that if you are supported, you can leverage that little money to be able to create more opportunities so that next time you don't ask for that money? If you have not, then definitely you are your own problem, because no amount of money will be enough to will be able to sustain you. That is why anybody who asks anyone money, there is nothing wrong to support anyone anywhere in the world. But there is something wrong to support people by paving the way for dependency and to perpetuate it so that it becomes the norm. You are not helping that person. That money must be leveraged to gain a skill around an area that can then be able to help the person start an enterprising idea. And I'm using the word enterprising intentionally because we don't want social endeavors here, they perpetuate dependency. An enterprising endeavor that can then help the person develop his or her own business to solve a problem as he or she makes money. And within 6 weeks, he or she must be able to give back a report. If not, he is part of the problem that has sunk Africa.
When you say that the environment in which we all as Africans grew up is disempowering, what do you mean by that?
Disempowering from the sense that we will be told that your uncle who is not giving or helping you is a wicked uncle, rather than told that you need to work hard so that at least you can grow up and actually compliment that your uncle who has helped you or helped sometime, rather than chastising and making that uncle bad because he has not helped you. That we need to go to school to learn and to get certificates to come and devise solutions, not to get certificates and get a job and start enjoying, because life is not a place of ease or a place of celebration. No, it is not. It's a place for us to leverage whatever thing we have to devise solutions. And that is not the environment. Of course, I am not trying to say that we grew up without having the good aspects. Respect for one another, those were values we were taught, diligence and hard work. But the aspect of collective self-reliance is not part and parcel of either our home curriculum, I call it in quotes, or our school curriculum. We expect somebody to do it for us. And that is very, very disempowering. And that has perpetuated what I call the passing the buck syndrome, where we blame others for our problems. And we create problems where there are no problems just to blame someone else. And if government doesn't do it, we say government doesn't do it. But we also need to ask ourselves, what is our own responsibility in contributing to be part of the solution? We are not taught that we should take responsibility to be part of the solution. And that has been disempowering. And I actually believe that we need to start knowing that the first person to take responsibility is you and me. And then others can add in to close the gaps. But sitting, folding our arms, sitting on the high horse and blaming others is not a strategy. It's failed.
I see a lot of young people in Kenya, in Uganda, in Ghana, very involved in innovative volunteerism. And I see it paying dividends. How did you get to those countries? How do you find yourself in country A and not country B? People must be asking themselves this question.
Actually, innovative volunteerism is for everyone, and it's actually in 40 African countries, because the idea is if you want to drive transformational change in anything you do anywhere in the world, it must be anchored on what I call enablers of sustainability. And to break that down, enablers of sustainability is actually willing people. And I use the word willing, and I will use that throughout this discussion today. Willing people. You can take a horse to drink water, but if that horse is not willing, it will not drink that water. That's a fact. Willing people, that is the essence of it. The pillar of innovative volunteerism, the fabric is you willingly volunteer yourself to be guided. Willingly volunteer yourself to be guided. And those who willingly volunteer themselves to be guided, you are the first person, because innovative volunteerism is not about me. It's about you, the person who wants the skill to be retooled. And when you willingly volunteer yourself and get guided, you learn. But it's only you to take the guidance. Nobody forces you to do so. And why is that reason? Because you cannot force people to do things they will not be able to embrace it. Passion is what one is supposed to leverage. But another aspect of the enabler of sustainability is that anything that is being done must be able to feed back to inform policy. So those who are doing whatever thing they're doing, whether it is turning waste to briquettes or turning waste to make fashionable dresses or turning waste to make fertilizer or fabricating solar dryers, they're actually responding to government policies across their countries. It is happening even in Cameroon as we speak today. It is happening in DRC, it's happening in Zimbabwe. But as I said, because it doesn't involve money, people run away from it. And that's part of the disempowerment that I mentioned, that we are meant to see money first before we go. You call people for meetings, you have a beautiful show like this one where you are airing it free for people to say, money they money no, they're not going to go for that place. We want to enjoy rather than to endure short-term pain for long-term gain. That's a terrible mentality that has disempowered us Africans.
And there's a key thing you say. Our African brothers and sisters must learn to go for information. This is a library of information that you're sharing. And I put it out that if you know somebody who is not employed, you should be watching this show. You should be telling that person to watch this show, because this is where you begin to empower, weaponize yourself. This is where you begin to peel off that veneer of dependency and getting yourself engaged in doing something productive, creating wealth. I tell you what, if we came here to talk about sex, this place will be flooded. Oh yeah, I can tell you that. I've seen that. Where people just watch garbage, watch things that don't empower them in any way. And those same people sit and tell you how they're poor. Those same people sit and send you letters, you should send money. They don't have money, they're poor. My hope is that we move from that trajectory of complaining and blaming and complaining and blaming into thinking solutions. That's how what you say, what you said, your videos got my attention, because for the first time, I saw an African who is thinking and talking solution, who is not blaming people. That's why I began my questioning. Where do you get this passion, this optimism from? Because honestly, I have watched the way Africans use internet. They curse each other. They remind their friends where they're educated. What's really the point of the education if you're not using it to solve a problem? So you remind people where you went to school and insult them. So this is where and why we have remained poor, and we will remain poor until we do a mindset reset. I have a phone here in my hand. You can dial the number. You can disagree with Dr. Richard Menang, 240-603-7367. This show is meant to be an hour. We can extend it a little bit if we have the calls coming. Otherwise, we'll wrap up very soon. Dr. Richard Menang, you have been through, God knows, virtually almost all African countries. What were the attitudes of youths when you came talking to them? Because probably if they didn't see crates of beer and free food, they probably wouldn't even come listen to you. How did you get the other ones involved?
Thank you very much, Ni. And I think what I would like to build on is what you've beautifully said. If you do not weaponize or arm yourself with information, you cannot be able to be competitive. The truth is that the world in which we live in, Africa is not an island. And I've argued this so many times. We are not an island. We are operating within a global space where the opportunities of Africa are not only destined for Africans. The whole world is looking into the continent. They're looking at the continent because the continent is actually the last hope of humankind. And we know the reasons. It is a continent with still over 65% of uncultivated arable land in the entire globe. It is a continent with all the minerals in the world that you can think of. It is also a youthful continent. And that means that that is a huge resource for labor elsewhere. Why am I saying this? I am building on your point before I get to answer the question you've asked is if the youth, despite the fact, because I have said a dividend, you can only get a dividend when you have invested. Yes, you cannot get a dividend when you have not invested. When they say youth dividend, we get excited. Oh, Africa is youthful. Yes, Africa is youthful. But youthfulness is not a static process. It is dynamic. Those who are young today, in 10 years' time, they will move out of the age bracket and they'll become older. But that's not the point I am making. My point is we cannot celebrate youthfulness because people are young. We celebrate it because they are young, not celebrating what they can offer in that their youthful age. What they're leveraging their passion, their ingenuity, their vibrancy, their energetic spirit to do. That is not the discussion at the moment. I think this is a missed window of opportunity. The discussion across the continent should be with over 60% of the entire African population youthful. What are we doing so that this youth can become productive and useful? And I have said youthfulness is usefulness. If you are not useful, you are not youthful. And if you are useful, then you are youthful. Because what you do when you are young, you will be happy when you are old to look back and say, this is what I did. And now to your question, when I look across and I travel across the continent with the work that I do, the attitude of young people that scares me. I will start with what scares me, and then I will go to what actually gives me hope. What scares me most is being part of a product and not wanting to be part of the process. Rising up to the top, with jumping all the steps to go to the top without passing through the process. But a young person will tell you, give me a job, without asking you, Dr. Manang, how did you actually rise up to be where you are? Please guide me. I want to be like you. That is fine. How did you get here? No, I want to be where you are now. The CUNY Divine sitting here and broadcasting this beautiful Chat Night Africa. They want to be there and do what you're doing now. They don't want to learn. And those are terrible attitudes. What I tell them, because they also need mentors, is you have to be part of the process. And patience, humble, persistent. The 3 Ps, these are common. You hear them. Passion, patience, and persistence. You must leverage those, and humility and respect. The good side of the young people that I've seen, and that is really something that we are tapping into with innovative volunteerism, is that vibrancy and energetic ability that they can be able to use their energy and passion to be able to do something. The ingenuity, the tech savviness, especially of these young people, they're very tech savvy, but they leverage most of that tech savviness for wrong reason. Go to the internet, as you said, abusing one another or devising apps that hack into people's. So what I am trying to say here is in no way trying to denigrate or say that the young people are not doing right things. No, I am saying they can do better. And that is why we're having this discussion here today, is that they must be able to leverage their talent, their skills, that take ingenuity and that passion to devise solutions to solve community problems, not only to make money for themselves, because that money will come, but to leave a legacy. Because the question should be, do you want to succeed alone or you want to leave a legacy? I would rather go for the legacy.
When the idea of Chat Night Africa came to me, now you'll be surprised where I started. I started with a low-tech phone. This one is even better. Wow. Low-tech phone. I refused to sit around and complain as I didn't have a nice studio like what I have now. I didn't have the software. I refused to do that. I could have, and that's easy to do, to complain and complain. I had to start somewhere. Now, you listening to me, you need to start somewhere. That somewhere is here. Your thinking has got to change. You've got to be selective about what you get yourself involved in. Unproductive fights on the internet, insulting or drinking around and making noise. Because that's the fact. Listen, we have friends. We have brothers and sisters. We see this. So we are not inventing anything here. I'm hoping, again, that you watching this will invite others to watch it. This is how we begin to make a difference where we are, doing what we can and with what we have. Dr. Richard Munang, before we go, what's your last word today at Chat Night Africa on this all-important subject? And I thought about this topic because of the myriad of letters I get. The people I see, they graduate from universities and are in a sitting strike because government hasn't given them a job. The people who dropped out of school with no job, the people who did this, the people who are struggling to survive, the people, especially with COVID-19, again, that has compounded things. That is how I thought we should be talking about this, how even with the difficulties, the challenges, people can rise through it. And yes, you can. Dr. Munang.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nidivine. The reality is that you've touched actually the crux of the matter here, which is the points you've brought up. You must start with what you have. The fallacy that you must wait for what you don't have to start is also what have sunk Africa to be where it is today. And you wait and wait and nothing ever comes. But you must start with what you have. And by starting with what you have, you'll be amazed how you can then be able to make inroad into turning challenges into opportunities. But let me just put this in perspective, since this is my last word. Yes, we know that there is the measure of poverty, especially in least developed countries, pegged around $1 or $2. But when you put this within the context of Africa, I think this is a food for thought, because today is the 31st of December 2020. And given the fact that this has been an unprecedented year, it's good to just put this in perspective so that it can get into our brothers and sisters' minds and they can ponder over this. When you look across the entire African continent today, over 60% of the continent is pretty much rural. Our mothers and brothers and sisters, most of them live in rural areas. We grew up in these rural areas. We grew up in these mud houses, grass thatched houses, with our mothers living in villages, not even having $1. But they grow their food, nutritious food, without chemicalized fertilizers applied. They actually harvest their water in wells, in springs, and they breathe fresh air coming from the nearby forest. They also have within the community the social fabric, which is not only giving them that emotional support, but at the same time, when you compare the material, emotional, and health support that they have a positive net worth. They do not pay rents. They do not owe credit cards or debts. Are they poor? The second aspect is a graduate from university who works and then earns a salary, living in a rented apartment, and living in a city that doesn't have the fresh air, like our mothers in villages. And at the end of the month, have debts, and doesn't even have the nutritious fresh food or vegetables that are harvested in communities, in our villages. Is he poorer or richer? I think his net worth is negative. What's my point? We cannot be able to peg poverty around just $1. That lack of money thereof equals poverty. That material poverty alone can be able to be used to denigrate a people to say they are poor. That is a fallacy, and we should not be able to accept that. What am I trying to say? No, I am not trying to say that lack of roads or lack of clean drinking water is not poverty. No, my point is, even in impoverished societies, in quotes, we must be able to look at what they have that is their strength. And that strength, especially in rural Africa, is that communal social capital and things that they do sometimes that are never quantified in terms of money. And what's my point? The young man who sends you the letter saying that he is poor, he's not poor. He may be living at home, breathing fresh air, having 3 square meals a day, and watching Arsenal and other matches. He's actually the richest. Happy 2021.
Now you see why I brought him here. You see why I brought Richard here today and why I brought him here the last time. And I had all kinds of letters asking for him to come back. I'm so grateful to you, sir, for coming to share for free and so generously your knowledge. You see, you are beyond a motivational speaker because you're bringing very practical things that people can do. You only have to look around your environment and look for problems and think up a solution, and then you create wealth. And you talk about problems, we have a lot of them in Africa, a lot of them. Yeah, these are opportunities. Thank you, Dr. Richard Muna, and Happy New Year. I hope you have nothing but the best of experiences, continuing to mentor people across Africa. This is the definition of a golden heart. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you very much, Neil, for having me. Great pleasure. And Dr. Happy 2021.
Richard Munang again. A round of applause, please. And that's how we are going to conclude this broadcast. I couldn't conclude this without thanking the army of supporters, flag bearers of Chat Night Africa. Lots of you have sacrificed enormously and surprisingly have decided to stay in the shadows. In other words, stay anonymous. We appreciate you. Listen, here at Chat Night Africa, we don't believe that we do so well we cannot improve on what we do. Our work is a project in construction. We keep looking for the best, and very, very soon, we're taking this platform to the next level, thanks to the sacrifices made by the so many friends. So many. I want to thank you. I couldn't name everybody here. I want to thank you also for watching and sharing the broadcast. Let's continue to make the world a better place. And yes, we can. We can, I always say it, by being the best we can, where we are, doing what we can, and with what we have. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Divine Chamukong, and that has been Chat Night Africa.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming. Coming to get down. I'm coming. I'm coming. Coming to dance. To dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna dance. We're gonna get down. We're gonna get down. We're gonna party. Party hardy. We're gonna boogie, boogie woogie. And when we jam, it's out of sight. This song right here, it's dynamite. I'm ready. I'm coming back.